Welcome back to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Anime Review episode number 48. Excuse me, yes. Now, this one I'm covering basically episodes 6 to 11 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. Now, these 6 episodes are technically, with the JoJo Bizarre Adventure anime, are episodes 158 to 163. Oh, by the way, with this one, I am pretty much in a way just about done with right now for Stone Ocean until whenever they release more episodes. The first episode, now this whole entire episodes covers 23 chapters in just 6 episodes. Covers chapters 21 to 43 of the manga. Yeah, that's as far as the thing covers. Which that's quite interesting to say the least. Oh, in the case of the manga itself, like for the actual chapters, is chapters 615 to... Yeah, 615 to pretty much... Actually, no, this one does covers... It's not 43, it covers 47. Yes, 47. But it stops at chapter number 641, so a lot of chapters. I thought it was 23, my mistake. It's actually 27. Which, that is a lot for 6 episodes. Now, most of these episodes, the first episode is a complete standalone episode. Episodes 7 and 8 are quick 2-parter. In the case of 9, that's another 2-parter. 10 and 11 is definitely another 2-parter. These episodes are called Irma's Stickers, basically her stand ability Kiss. That's what it's called. There's 6 of us. Foo Fighters. Now, Foo Fighters, there's 6 of us. Episode 151 and 160. That is a 2-part that covers another story arc. The Debt Collector, Marilyn Manson, which is named after the singer Marilyn Manson. And the 2-parter known as Head to the Courtyard, Operation Savage Guardian. Yeah, that's pretty much what this 2-parter is called. Irma Stickers basically has debut her stand, Kiss. And her ability is that she can paste stickers on people and make duplicates of stuff. That's pretty much her ability. Yep. And in this one, well, she's trying to stop a guy from committing suicide, though he ends up committing suicide anyways. By the way, this guy's name is Thunder McQueen, named after a fashion designer. I think of McQueen. I think of Steve McQueen, the late actor. Yes. The one who was one point dating, I think it was like Ali McGee, I think her name is. Yeah, he only appears just in one episode of the anime. Here's the thing, in the manga, which of course this actual episode covers 5 chapters of manga. That's the only thing he appears in for that one. Jolene is in solitary confinement, well, due to the actions of the last episode. So she's not absent for this one. So technically, you could kind of think of this episode as the first one where Jolene is not the focus, which that's interesting to say the least. Yep. You have Irmis, who she comes to focus too. At one point, she's like bleeding like crazy, and eventually, Thunder McQueen does die at the end when she makes a duplicate of his head, and eventually they merge back into one, and well, he dies, and that's the last see of him. Yes, apparently his charge was he was killing a woman who's going to commit suicide. So why not call it? Basically, he kind of could call it assisted suicide, possibly yes, but nope. He died, and Jolene is basically out by the very next episode. By the way, when she wakes up, she's actually in the medical wing of the prison, which is a bit unusual for her, to say the least. Yes, for some reason they decided to put her there because of what happened in the first couple episodes. She got apparently injured. Oh yeah, and here's the thing. She still has money in her chest. Inside of her chest. Yes, that's the thing with this character. And as in the case of Girlos, she appears for like one more episode after the first part of the 2-part Visitor. And that is it for the character. No, seriously. That is pretty much it. Yeah, that's kind of weird though. You have this interesting character, Colossus, who pretty much in a way is kind of like, well, a subordinate for Jolene. And here's the thing: she doesn't appear very much in the manga. I mean, her last appearance was in the Jailhouse Lock arc. Yeah, I mean, she appeared in chapter 3. Her last appearance was the one when she didn't even die. Oh no, she actually was 98. Was technically her last appearance, but I don't think she's dead. Yeah, it's kind of weird the fact that this character just birth appears and that's it. Yep. So in the case of the next 2 episodes, we have this farm. Yes, a farm. Now I've seen this in fiction where basically you have the sort of work release program where they're still technically prisoners, but they can work outside the prison. They don't have to basically live in the prison. So we have these prisoners disappearing. And it turns out this is actually built of a stand using Foo Fighters. That is what it calls itself. Now you're probably thinking, is Foo Fighters named after a rock band? Well, you might be thinking could it? Well, it's named after a rock band called Foo Fighters. I personally have never heard of the Foo Fighters. Yeah, they've only been around since '94. And you might be thinking I get the fact that they have characters and stand abilities. Heck, even moves named after rock bands, songs, because the writer of the series, big rock, basically a big rocks. He's a big fan of rock music, so he names characters, all this other stuff after. Names it pretty much after real life people. Yep, and then we have a few people here. You have a shaved head prisoner, Atur, who appears briefly this episode, and black hair prisoner, and a tan prisoner. Yep. Yeah. So, former search party. You have Jolene and Irma's basically going along with supposedly 2 other people. Actually, 3 people. It turns out they went with 4. And there is this prison guard. By the way, they're basically put in these wrist explosives where if he goes more than 50 feet from them, they explode, killing them. Friend escape. I'm like, okay, that's a bit extreme, but whatever. So they get to the place and they start searching around. And lucky enough that Jolene and Hamrus basically thinks the interesting idea of checking out a barn that's just happily there. I mean, they're looking for prisoners. They might be there. And apparently the guard's not interested in looking there for some reason, despite the fact it would be quite obvious looking there. Nope, he proceeds to drive away into the water, and then the thing starts beeping. You're probably thinking, what the heck is going on here? And it turns out that this is actually due to a stand user. Yep, well, Stan, who attempts to kill them. And apparently this stand ability is powered by water. Yes, for some reason it's powered by water. Yep. Yeah, and then of course apparently this one prisoner also ends up killing the other 2 prisoners who were with her. And apparently the person who was posing as was actually the tan prisoner. Yep. Yep. All along. Yep. And eventually, of course, they get into a fight with her, and pretty much Jolene convinced him to become basically kind of like work for her and protect the disc. Like, we're not interested in mentioning this. We just want this one disc. We just happen to contain Stardust Platinum. Yes, her father's stand. And then, of course, right afterwards, then we have this sort of bet with this one woman who appears at the end of episode 8, leading into events of episode 9. A woman by the name of... because of M. Though this episode basically has the first appearance of Fada Pucci. Yes. You're thinking, really? The main villain pops up in episode 8? Yes, seriously. Yeah, he briefly appears at the end of the episode because, well, we have Whitesnake show up and there's him. Yeah, that's kind of revealing that he is a stand user for Whitesnake. So, in the case of the disc itself, they kind of formally planned to try to get the disc out of the prison. So, they basically work with this deck collector whose stand ability is named Marilyn Manson. Named after the rock singer. When I heard the name, like, wait, you literally named the stand after an actual rock singer who, by the way, has a character in Black Clover whose appearance is based upon him. And from what I've heard about Marilyn Manson, he took the name Marilyn from the late actress Marilyn Monroe from who actually died back in the 60s at the age of 36 of an overdose. Yes. So, pretty much, they kind of basically gamble over a baseball this one. Yeah, that's literally what the plot of this one is. And eventually, of course, the character get it's kind of like it's another one of these gambling episodes, which this is okay. Most of this is over money, not like a video game or cards. It's kind of in a way the best way to describe it, because this isn't something that features JoJo. Revisit something from Star Wars Crusaders that people may or may not liked. But at least they use modern stuff. Yep. Oh, by the way, after this episode, that prisoner is never seen again. Yeah, and there's like disc in her head named Morshkin, her name is. Yeah, this is her sole appearance in this anime. Was appearing in this one episode. Yep. Yeah, and then pretty much she's mentioned at the start of basically the very next arc. And that's the last you see of her. She's only appearing in just where in the art in the manga she appears just for 6 chapters, and that's it. Excuse me. It's by far one of the most weirdest things. Eventually they do. After they beat her, they basically form a plan to get the disc out of prison. So, Jolene contacts the Speedwalking Foundation. Oh, by the way, apparently, JoJo apparently is on, so he's basically in a coma. He's still got some brain activity, but he's not moving. He possibly might be dead, but in the case of Jolene, well, I have a way to revive him, and the scientist who's there, who he does point out that he does know about stands, but he's not a stand user. So, how do you formulate basically to deal with this? Well, I have the disc that has a stand on it. He's like, okay. And she's like, I can't exactly like bring it out to you. I'm in a prison. And basically he formulates a plan to basically get it out of there and have me meet in the courtyard of the prison in 20 minutes. And the whole 2-part is her trying to get there. Of course, she bribes her way past some guards. And then she gets there and she gets part way there. And she's basically up. She's still got. She's a few minutes into her journey to get to the courtyard, where she's hit by Amparo, who gets her to another room, the ghost room as he calls it. The stand ability, it's a stand ability of his, known as burning in the house, because he does feel apparently back in 1984, the prison basically did suffer a fire, and the prison remodeled to its current appearance. And he's here with 2 characters, one who does play a role in this 2-parter, the other one doesn't, not yet. The 2 characters who make a debut in this episode, make debut in this 2-parter in, let's say, part 1, though technically the debut of the Burning in the House one. We had the first appearance of Nasr Osri, who's a very interesting character, who appearance-wise looks exactly like Davito from Golden Wind. I mean, the same exact appearance. Same, he's got pink hair, wears the same fishnet shirt, like the same exact appearance. I think he's a little bit younger than Jolene. Actually, he's actually older because Jolene, I think, is supposed to be like, because he's like 25, and she is, let's see, she is roughly 19. Yeah, she's 19 years old. Now, why the heck that the creator of the series decided to have a character who looks exactly like that one makes no freaking sense. I mean, appearance-wise, it looks exactly like, I mean, mostly from the top up, per se. It could be just a character redesign. It's possible, to say the least. It's by far one of the most baffling things that, like, when I first saw this character in the anime, you see in the manga, if you watched Golden Wind, you're probably like, wait, why the heck does this guy look exactly like Davito, who's from Part 5? Did Davito escape from the dimension? No, this is a completely different character. And you're thinking, that's interesting. Though the other character that makes debut here, his name is Weather Forecast, though he's actually called Weather Report. He's a character who actually has a big role in this particular part. Yes, apparently he doesn't sleep in an actual bed per se. Like there's no bed to fit him. So he sleeps in the piano, which I would think that'd be quite incredible to do. Yep. So Amparo volunteers him to escort Jolene to the courtyard. Everything's going a little fine, and of course they had to play off a story about repairing the shoe, and then of course stuff starts floating for some reason. It turns out this is the ability of a stand user. Who is it, you might ask? A guy named Lang Ringer. I would not be surprised if it was named after, well, okay, so Wrangler, as in jeans. Yes, so we have a character whose name is Lang Ranger. He's named after blue jeans. Like actual blue jeans people wear. Wrangler is a popular American brand. And apparently he's also named after a fashion designer named Hermit Lang, which is quite interesting. He's got a weird app. I'm looking at his app right now, where it looks like, I'm thinking like, how the heck can he see when he had this little material covering up part of your eyes? Yes, how the heck can he freaking see wearing that attire? I mean, I get the weird attire and the basically the posing that the series is known for. By the way, his stand is known as Jumping Jack Flash. Yes, seriously. Which apparently is named after a song from the Rolling Stones. That's interesting. I remember Jumping Jack was also a character who popped up in Jackie Chan Adventures, where he wears this guy with springs on his feet and apparently was a monster from like Victoria, England, who actually was reawakened in modern day. Jackie Chan briefly battled for one episode. So you have a character in the Flash thing, despite the fact, yes, that's obviously named after, well, like the song I said, Flash, I also think of either Flash Gordon or the Flash, the fastest man alive from DC Comics. And this whole thing with this guy, he can create zero gravity, he can create a vacuum. He basically is a very powerful stand user. This particular stand is very powerful. And they battle him throughout these 2 episodes. And apparently he's also the ability where it allows him to use his fingers as suction cups. Yes, suction cups. And at one point it looked like they're in a vacuum where they're actually at the end of part 1, they end up in a laundry room. Which, by the way, this is an actual laundry room. I've seen this particular type of thing pop up in a few forms of fiction per se, like mostly in live action. Now this is the first anime I've seen where you have a prison scene and you have a scene in a laundry room. Yeah, I've seen this in movies or at least TV shows. I've seen it pop up in Monk. I've also seen it pop up in the film The Shawshank Redemption. Yep. Yeah, it popped up there. But mostly put, since it's American, since the show was set in the U.S., so of course they basically have prison. They have a launch that looks exactly like probably what the prisons look like. I have visited a prison once, basically one that was actually nearby my old house. Yes, there is in fact an actual prison nearby where I used to live. Yeah, the prison, and of course, is actually not that far from here, from where I live currently. It's like less than about 10, 20 minutes from my house. No, seriously, there's an actual prison near where I live. I know the people who actually run the place. Yes. And you might be asking, Nick, is there been any prison breaks noteworthy happening at that prison? Never heard of any. No, not really. Mainly because of the fact that even though it's a large prison, if you look from distance from the road, it's a quite large prison. And yeah, this is an actual state prison that's near my house. Now you might be also asking, do I know anybody personally who actually is a resident of the place? No. No, I don't. I do not. Though I can tell it's a very place, and it's a place that I prefer not to come back to. Apparently, they also do this thing once a year where you actually, the public, you actually have an actual, like, tour of the prison, which is quite nice. And by the way, in case you're curious though, do they actually have the prisoners, like, basically in the same area as the visitors? No, they're all in their cells, and their cells are not like you see in movies where it's like big bars. The ones I saw basically were big metal doors with windows on them. That's what I saw for these particular for this prison. Now I don't think all prisons look like this, just that the one I saw was like this. Yes, I'm bringing up an actual prison I visited. Yes, visited because I was an invited guest. Basically, it was a community type of thing. Yes. Meanwhile, though, let's go back to this. So, they eventually do battle. They follow him for pretty much most of episode 11, and they do finally beat him. And they eventually figure out the room by they have to basically bypass this door, which leads a hallway, and eventually the courtyard. Excuse me. And then we see Father Picho, who he actually does play a small role here in these episodes. So I think he is technically the main villain, where he influences the main villain of basically episode 9. And you see him watching the whole abnormality of this prison. Then, of course, they get to the door, and, of course, you have Jolene banging the door and get the door open. And apparently, you can tell by her reaction, like, oh, this guy knows who Lang is. Like, walks in, she suspects it's a guard. And then she sees it's Father Pucho. And she's about to say a priest, and that's where the episode ends. I gotta admit, really good 6 episodes. I'm almost done with this particular part where, well, for English release anyways, I still have not heard yet exactly when the next set is supposed to be released. Yes. And, well, not much else to say about this. Still good episodes, and I can't wait to discuss the last episode released for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. And I'm going to do that next, and then I'm going to do Shaman King. Okay? Thanks for the video. Bye.